Hello dear students, welcome to Genesis. In today's lecture we are going to discuss about blood vessels. Now human beings are examples of organisms having closed circulatory system. That means in us the blood always flows through blood vessels. Now let's quickly see what are the different kinds of blood vessels that are present in our body. So primarily there are three different kinds of blood vessels that can be seen in our body. Number one, artery, veins and capillaries. Now let's quickly make one point of difference that will always help us to remember their functions. The point of difference is artery always carries oxygen rich blood, whereas the veins, they carry oxygen deficient blood. The function of capillary is basically to enter inside those areas where arteries and veins cannot reach. So capillaries are parts of arteries and they are parts of veins, or you can say the arteries, they progressively branch into structures called capillaries, and these capillaries unite to form structures called veins. Why are they there? Because they can enter inside tissues, which the other two cannot. Now let's exclusively understand the characteristic features of arteries. When we talk about arteries, the first thing that we must know that is they carry oxygenated blood, right? So if they are carrying oxygenated blood, what will be the direction of flow of the blood? The blood will always flow away from heart, because it is the heart which is basically pumping this oxygenated blood. So the type of the blood is oxygenated. The direction of the flow will be away from the heart. Now let us talk about the structure. Structurally, they have muscular wall. That means the wall is thick, and since they have muscular wall, the lumen of the blood vessel is narrow. So arteries have muscular wall and narrow lumen. And now let us talk about if they have valves or not. There are no valves that are present in arteries. So no valves. What are valves? Valves are those structures which are present in a blood vessel which prevents backflow. Now since in case of arteries, they are forcing the blood away from the heart, the blood always goes out under very high pressure. As a result of which, and if you see, the heart is located in the upper cavity of your body, so the blood which flows out of the heart will be pushed downwards, and even if it goes up, the distance is only till the head. So to push the blood to the head, the heart itself generates enough pressure, and so the arteries do not require any valves under such condition. So the blood can very easily move through the arteries without valves. Now what is the nature of the blood that is flowing? Is it a continuous flow or the blood flows in spurts? The blood flows in spurts. That means the blood is flowing through the arteries in jerks, and these jerks are simultaneously happening along with the pumping of the heart. Next is elasticity. Are these blood vessels elastic? Yes, they are elastic. Now if they are elastic, that means they can contract and relax. So next is location. Where are they located? They are always deeply placed. That means in your body, the arteries are always deeply placed. They are not superficially placed. So these are most important points that we must know about arteries. Now let's quickly look into the structure of the artery. So the outermost layer of the artery has a connective tissue layer. So here is the layer, and this is the connective tissue layer. So connective tissue layer. This is since the external layer of the artery. This is also known as tunica externa. Next to this is the middle layer of the artery. The middle layer of the artery is extremely muscular. We have already discussed. So let's draw these striations for our convenience. and this is the muscular wall. This is also known as tunica media, and then inside this is the layer of endothelial cells, which is known as endothelium, which is the innermost layer. This is known as tunica interna, and what is left inside this becomes the lumen of the artery. So all in all, these are the points about artery. Now let's quickly understand veins. Now about veins, again we start with first the nature of the blood. So they basically carry oxygen deficient blood. What will be the direction of the blood flow? It will be towards heart. Third, about the muscular wall, they have thin muscular wall. As a result of which they will have wide lumen. Next is presence or absence of valves. They have special structures which are called valves, and the valves are pocket shaped, so they look like this. So when the blood wants to flow towards the direction of the valve, then there will be no opposition. But if the blood wants to backflow, under such conditions these valves are going to prevent the backflow. That means when the blood gets collected from various parts of your body, especially the region which is below your thoracic level, so when the blood is collected from there, then remember the blood is flowing back to the heart, and this flow is against gravity. Gravity के against हो रहा है, as a result of which इसी कारण से there will be a tendency of backflow. Blood हमेशा backflow करने की कोशिश करेगा. To prevent this, there are valves that are present in veins, जो हमें arteries में नहीं दिखते हैं. Next, after this, if these blood vessels are elastic or not, they are not elastic. अच्छा, अगर ये इलास्टिक नहीं है, इसका मतलब they will not contract और relax, जो कि arteries कर सकते हैं. 8th point is the nature in which the blood flows. जैसे arteries में blood flow करता है in spurts, but in case of vein there is a continuous flow. इसका कारण ये है that the blood that is flowing through the veins, they are not under high pressure. उसे basically collect किया जाता है from various parts of your body. It is not that the heart is pumping the blood directly into the veins, right? So जो blood flow कर रहा है, it has less pressure, of course less pressure, and that is why the flow is not in spurts, rather it's a continuous one. 9th point is, where are they placed? Veins are always superficially placed. Veins हमेशा superficially placed होते हैं. Now let's quickly see the diagram. Obviously, just like artery, it will have an outer layer जिसे हम क्या कहते हैं? Tunica externa, and this layer is basically a layer of connective tissue. तो this is connective tissue layer. नेक्स्ट है इसका मस्कुलर वॉल. तो अब जब हम मस्कुलर वॉल का लेयर बनाएंगे, वी आर गोइंग टू मेक इट लिटिल थिन इन कंपैरिजन टू द डायग्राम ऑफ द आर्टरी. सो हम इसे थोड़ा पतला बनाने वाले हैं. सो दिस इज द मस्कुलर वॉल. हो गया. और इसके अंदर जो लेयर है विच इज कॉमन फॉर बोथ आर्टरी एंड वेन, इट इज द एंडोथेलियल लेयर. तो अब जरा ल्यूमन को देखते हैं. क्योंकि मस्कुलर वॉल कम है, इसीलिए द ल्यूमन इज बिग इनफ. काफी वाइड ल्यूमन होता है वेन्स में. So the three layers are connective tissue layer or tunica externa, the middle wall or the muscular layer which is known as the tunica media, and then endothelial layer जो हम tunica interna के नाम से जानते हैं, और रहा इसका lumen, it is way wider in comparison to that of the artery. Now let us discuss capillaries. Now in order to understand functioning of capillaries and their characteristic features, we have to understand the relationship between arteries, capillaries and veins. देखो, when arteries, they are very thick, right? So they cannot directly enter inside the tissues. So they branch into finer structures which are called arterioles. And these arterioles branch further to form structures called capillaries. ये जो capillaries हैं, they are very very thin. When these capillaries try to come out of the tissues, they again unite to form little thicker structure जिन्हें कहा जाता है. And these venules, they again unite further to form structure called veins. Let's quickly see what are the characteristic features of capillaries. Now, अगर हमें capillaries के बारे में समझना है, then number one characteristic feature of capillary is they do not have muscular wall. So capillaries के पास कोई muscular wall होता ही नहीं है, like we have seen in case of arteries and veins. The second important point is they have a single layer of squamous epithelium, और इसी को एंडोथेलियम कहा जाता है. Okay, now let's see the functions that they perform. Functions of capillaries में सबसे पहला function that they help is to diffuse out oxygen from कहाँ से? From the capillary to intercellular fluid and intercellular fluid से finally it goes to the tissue. तो concept क्या है? For example, if this is the capillary, यहाँ से पहले it allows the oxygen gas to diffuse out into the intercellular fluid, and then finally it goes into the tissues or whichever part it has to go, the oxygen is going to diffuse from there. So it allows the oxygen to diffuse out from the capillaries into the intercellular fluid, and from intercellular fluid it allows it to go into the tissues. In case of carbon dioxide, it allows to diffuse in, उल्टा होता है carbon dioxide, and the direction is from tissue to the intercellular fluid and वहां से into capillaries. So the carbon dioxide which is there in the tissue will first come to the intercellular fluid, or is intercellular fluid, say it is going to diffuse in to the capillaries. So this is the direction how the diffuse out and diffuse in of gases happen through capillaries. The third point, it allows the certain substances like amino acid, hormones, urea, and the most important one, glucose, to both diffuse in and diffuse out. इन्हें वो अंदर भी जाने देता है, बाहर भी आने देता है. So this is the important function that it performs. Then the fourth point is it allows leukocytes to squeeze out. कहाँ? Into the intercellular space or any site where there is injury or there has been an attack of germs. In those areas, the leukocytes can easily squeeze out from the capillaries. Last point, we know the very important characteristic feature of capillary is vasoconstriction and vasodilation. मतलब these capillaries can constrict and can dilate. So when the blood flow increases in the capillaries, they dilate, which is called vasodilation, जो हमारे साथ होता है when we go out of the sun and suddenly we look pink. Why? Because the blood flow increases in our body. Similarly, during winters we look pale. Why? Because these capillaries, they constrict and the blood flow to these capillaries decrease. So now let us quickly understand the differences between arteries and veins. Well, the first difference is about the type of the blood. So the blood carried by artery is rich in oxygen and the blood carried by veins is deficient in oxygen. Second is the direction of the flow. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, whereas veins carry blood towards the heart. Third, we'll talk about the structure, that is the wall. The wall is extremely muscular in case of arteries, but it is less muscular in veins. As a result of which the lumen in case of arteries is narrow, whereas in veins the lumen is wide. Then comes valve. Arteries do not have any valves because in case of veins, since they carry blood from the lower part of the body to the heart, so they face backflow. To prevent that, they have valves present in them. Then is elasticity. The arteries are more elastic, as a result of which they can contract and relax, whereas veins are less elastic. Then the flow of the blood, in case of arteries it happens in spurts, whereas in veins it is a continuous flow. Then is the branching. In case of arteries, they branch progressively into thinner structures called arterioles, and veins are formed by union of thinner structures called venules, which become finally veins. And the last two differences are, arteries when they are empty, they do not collapse. Why? Because they have thick muscular wall, so their framework is lot more stronger than compared to veins. On the other hand, veins, since they are thin walled, they when empty, they tend to collapse. The last point of difference is the placement. Arteries are placed deeply in our body, whereas veins are superficially placed. So with this we finish arteries, veins and capillaries. We are going to meet soon in the next lecture. Meanwhile, revise and do not forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you.